Hey guys, we are back and you are forced to watch me on yet another how-to video. Guys, I have to tell you, I was pretty pumped on the amount of skill that you showed on that first exercise that we did with 1-point perspective. They were clean, you guys understood the criteria really awesome, which essentially means one of two things, right? You listened really, really well and you followed the directions and you learned something new, which is great. I hope it's that criteria. Or it was too easy for you. Like, I understand that this is probably something that you may have done before. So it was a refresher course for a lot of you guys, and you really showed that you retained that skill. Like, everything was drawn nicely. You've been really successful. So now it's time to do kind of the next step in the skill building process of 1-point perspective. We are going to talk about cities and drawing buildings, but it's not going to be like the boring old, like, draw a triangle out from the vanishing point and then, like, draw a neighborhood going back in space, which we're kind of doing, but we're not really doing because I find that to be really boring, not only to look at, but to grade. I'm going to make you guys change it a little bit, but it's definitely time to, like, up the skill level because you guys are there. So get your supplies ready. You need the same supplies as last time. I've got my handy dandy ruler. I've got a mechanical pencil this time, so you don't have to sit and listen to me sharpen my pencil 1,000 times. And then you're also going to need a pretty sizable eraser. Normal erasers work just fine, but as I'm sure you noticed last time, erasing construction lines and all that stuff, you end up erasing almost as much as you draw. So it's helpful to have the big dog if you have it. If not, we'll figure it out. Just don't do it in pen. No pen drawings. And then a drawing surface. I'm going to be working on my ginormous sketch pad again, but just make sure you have paper that's big enough to do what you needed to do. Because this is going to be more project based. The first one was kind of an exercise. It was figuring stuff out. Now we kind of take that information and build on it, and you really get to flex your creativity muscles and kind of just take it your own direction. And you're still going to be showing me the technicality of it, the like skills that you learned from that first video and this video, but now you get to be artists. Now you get to say, yeah, I know 1-point perspective, but look what I can turn this into. Look what I can do with the knowledge that I've gained. And so again, we're going to follow along kind of with this exercise. I'm going to show you how to set up your new project that you're going to be doing. And then from there, guys, I really want you to take the creativity and make this a completed, finished drawing. And we'll talk a little bit about the requirements and stuff like that at the end of the video. But for now, follow along. I'll show you how to set things up. And then hopefully within like the next week or so, you can create a really cool drawing. Let's do it. Sweet. Here we go. Hopefully you have your supplies at this point. If not, pause me really quick and go grab them because we are just going to get straight to it. So, to start out your drawing, guys, your project, you don't necessarily have to do the horizon line dead set in the middle of the page like we did last time. Last time I had you guys put it pretty dead center. You can raise or lower it a little bit. Just try to avoid it getting too close to the bottom or the top of your paper, because it really constricts the area that you have to draw. For mine, I've just taken my horizon line and I've scooted it down almost just like the width of my ruler, and I've drawn my horizon line across the page. So do that, and then you're going to establish your vanishing point. For my project, I'm just going to keep it right in the middle, right in the center, because that allows me to draw a bunch of stuff on both sides of it. So yeah, same setup as last time. You don't have to label them this time though, because remember, this is your project. This is your art piece. From here, guys, I'm just going to kind of show you some cool stuff that you can do with overlapping forms and drawing other things in perspective. The things that I'm going to show you, you don't have to do everything. I'll show you the requirements and stuff, and we'll talk about stuff at the end of the video that you have to do. For right now, I'm just going to kind of show you all the cool things that you can do. So first things first, are roads, right? We're drawing a city, we're drawing a neighborhood type thing. The easiest way to draw a road, guys, is to draw a little triangle coming out from the vanishing point. So all I'm doing is I'm taking my straight edge And I am doing that. What this shows the viewer, right? Oh, I say that so much. I'm sorry. It's like a weird check for understanding. I'm probably going to say right 400 times in this video, and I promise you it bugs me more than it bugs you. Anyway, the point of the vanishing point is that's the part where we can't see things anymore, right? It's so far away. See, I said it again. It's so far away that our eyes no longer work. We cannot see further than that point on our picture. So think about this. If you are standing in the middle of a road that goes on forever and ever and ever, or in the distance, and you're looking straight down that road, there's a point where it's going to converge and you can't really see where that road goes anymore. That doesn't mean it ends. That just means that we can't see where it ends. It disappears before our eyes have a chance to kind of figure out what's going on. So this point of view that we're looking at is essentially you're putting the viewer right in the center of this street right here, and they're staring down the center of this street, and there's going to be buildings and stuff on each side, right? Another way you could do this, if you don't want to do the street like dead set in the center, like you want your viewer to be on a sidewalk or something, is you could put the street going off this way. Draw it off that side of the page. That way, maybe the viewer is on the sidewalk now. Maybe they're not in the street, thankfully. They're on the sidewalk. They're standing right here on the sidewalk. And then this is the street that goes back in the distance. Another cool thing you can do is you can, ooh, that's off. You can do those little stripes in the street. Remember, as things go back on the page, large, large, smaller, 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 as they disappear into the distance, things tend to get a little bit closer together and a little bit smaller. For example, the street is fairly wide out here, and we know it's just as wide down here. It doesn't look as wide, but this isn't showing the viewer that the road slowly gets like pinched into a little funnel. We know that the road is just as wide right here as it is down here, but because we're trying to show that illusion of space, that illusion of depth and things going in the distance, we draw things a little bit smaller, a little bit closer together. And that kind of gives that illusion of things being further away. Okay. So that's the first thing, roads. You can just draw two lines coming out of the vanishing point. Sidewalk's pretty cool. I've actually got a skill that I can teach you about sidewalk in just a second. And then just for the sake of my pickiness, I'm going to put a sidewalk on this side of the street because it'll drive me crazy if there's just one. Boom, there we go. So I've got my street. And as of right now, it just kind of looks like we're in the middle of the desert and a big old tumbleweed is going to come flopping across our street. We don't want that. We want this to be a non-ghost town. So we need to draw some buildings, some forms in one-point perspective, which you guys have shown me in the last video you are absolute experts on. So this is the fun part. This is where we get to have a good time. So first things first, we need to draw the building that is closest to us because we're going to be doing a lot of overlapping. So we're worried about the building that is the absolute closest to us. So to start, I'm going to make my first building fairly large. And remember, we just start with shapes. The shape of the building. So I'm going to take my straight edge and I'm going to draw a fairly sizable rectangle. You can draw whatever shape you want. You can draw a square, rectangle, whatever works for you. Just make sure that your lines are straight, because that's kind of a big deal. Ooh. Kind of awful. Okay. Not too shabby. So just like the last exercise, guys, I've got my first shape. Obviously, this one is a little bit larger because it goes above and below eye level. It goes through my horizon line, but that's fine. Buildings are big, right? They take up a lot of space. So here we go. We can take this corner, connect it to my vanishing point. You already know these steps, so I'm going to fly through these pretty quickly. If this confuses you, rewind it, go to the intro video that you watched last time. Whatever works. Okay, now I'm going to put this guy in perspective with my parallel line. Take your time on this point. This is the part that confuses people. So I have my first building. It's beautiful. It's huge. It's huge because I'm also standing right in front of it. I'm on this side of the street, but I'm kind of just looking straight at this thing. Okay, first form. Trickiest thing about these guys is drawing the one that comes after this one. Drawing the smaller building. Right? Because as we go back in space, there's buildings that are going to be behind this, but people always get confused on how to draw that. So, I didn't really do a great job. Maybe I'll do it over here really quick. Give me a second, let me draw this side, and I'll come back to you guys. Okay, game on. This one's much better. So, as I'm sure you saw in the video, I started with my square. This one comes off the paper, but I just pretended that it like closed off right here. I connected it to my vanishing point. I closed off the form with a parallel line. Now I want to draw another building back here, behind this guy. So what I need to do is the same steps that I did for all of my other forms, right? I need to do my square. My square comes first. The only thing that's different, guys, is part of that square is probably going to be blocked off by this building. So what I do for that is I want my next building to come here. It's going to run into the side of this building, but I can pretend that that building goes all the way here. Just because there's something drawn in front of the square that I'm trying to draw, doesn't mean that I can't draw. So let's say my next building looks like this. Use your straight edge. Don't draw lines as terribly as I just did, because that just doesn't look good. Okay. But I've still essentially started with my square. These dotted lines indicate where it kind of carries on. You don't have to draw this part. In fact, don't do it. It's pointless. It's not worth it. But you just have to think about that first square. That first side of the building. Everything else after that is the same, guys. You're connecting corners to your vanishing point. So for my next building, once I got my lines drawn, I take it there. I don't have to connect that corner because it draws through my form, so I'm done with this one. I'm going to clean it up a little bit because I didn't use my straight edge, and that's a terrible move. And then let's say this one where it's a little bit taller is kind of skinnier. Maybe it's a weirder building. Maybe that one gets cut off right there. But you can overlap and you can stack buildings and you can make this look like the busiest town ever because you can just keep overlapping and overlapping and overlapping your buildings. Just like that. And it looks super duper cool. Erasing my horizon line. Okay, so that's how to kind of overlap your forms. Let me reestablish this line because it's not great. But that's how you overlap. That's how you get kind of that city feel. And the more that you do that going down toward your vanishing point, the more busy, the more buildings your town is going to appear to have. So that's a really cool thing to do. You can even stack buildings. Not all buildings are perfect squares like this. Some buildings have second layers. So if this is like the first floor of that building, let me straighten and darken this out for you guys really quick. Maybe there's another one up there. Maybe this one has a second piece. So I'm going to draw a little square guy up here that attaches to this. It's going to be like the top level of that building. It's going to be super duper cool. So I have my square right here. I can connect that to my vanishing point, make it look super duper cool. And then maybe that one ends, maybe that one cuts off there. Look at that. So now I have a second layer. I've got a second little cool spot on my building. Maybe this is like a cool little patio. Check this out. You can do a little railing. A little railing on this guy. Connect that corner. Once you kind of figure out the ins and outs of one-point perspective, you can make everything just so complex and so cool. But maybe there's, check out this railing that we just invented. Pretty cool. So that's kind of how you draw overlapping buildings and overlapping forms in one-point perspective. I know last time I kind of touched on how to draw windows and stuff in perspective. Just a little refresher, like if I wanted to put a window on this side of my building, I would just do vertical line and then connect the top and bottom to my vanishing point. Boom, boom, like that, and then cut it off with a parallel line. If I wanted to do windows and stuff on, or like a door on this side, remember if it's facing you and it's not drawn in perspective, you can just draw the shapes because it's already facing you. I don't have to draw this one super crazy. But I could have that be like a door. Boom. Like that. And then I showed you guys how to do roofs last time. What else do I need to show you? What do I need to show you? What do I need to show you? Oh, you can do anything. Like even if it's not like a geometric form like this. Let's say we wanted to do trees. We'll do a tree. Why not? Let's say I've got this little tree guy hanging out here. He's this big. This is a terrible example because it's straight in front of you. Hang on. Okay. Fresh palette. Horizon line. Street. Vanishing point. Okay. Tree. First tree is that big. If we want to give the illusion that there's trees all along this road that go back in space, we just have to draw them kind of gradually smaller as they go back in space. Because if we were to draw them larger, that would be okay, but we're also showing, hey, this is the most ginormous, like if I drew this back here, that looks like the biggest tree in the history of ever because it's the same as the one that is right in front of me, which is cool, right? You could be looking up, wow, looking up at a big redwood or something, I don't know. But yeah, that's the basics, guys. So let's talk about your assignment. Your assignment, guys, is to invent a city. Try to think of a creative theme similar to how you did for your scribble art project. I want you to focus on overlapping forms. So the first requirement is that you have to have at least 4 buildings overlapping. In this particular drawing, I only have 3 so far, so I would have to figure out how to add another one down here, maybe add another one behind this building, but you have to have at least 4 buildings, 4 forms, that are overlapping and drawn in one-point perspective. You can have 25 if you're feeling really crazy. Slow yourselves down, force yourself to really check for parallel lines, straight lines, make sure things are drawn back to the vanishing points, because it's really easy to see when things fall out of perspective, when you're eyeballing stuff, or if you like have a parallel line that kind of, you know, goes that way. It's really obvious. So just slow yourselves down. 4 overlapping forms. On those 4 overlapping forms, you have to have at least one of your buildings have a window or door that is drawn in one-point perspective. And then after that, what else did I want you guys to try? Oh, I want you to do a triangular roof in 1 point perspective. So at least one of these guys has to have a triangular roof going on. Like that. And then after that, guys, the creativity is really just what I'm looking for. What type of town is this? Is it a superhero town? Is it a ghost town? Is it a western town? If I were to do this, I would probably do like a Nightmare Before Christmas town or a Scooby-Doo themed town. That would be really cool. You could have like all the monsters in haunted houses. But I want you to just think of a theme. Think of a creative element that you can add. You could even do an outer space, like an alien town. That would be really, really cool. I hope you guys find this fun. You can spend an entire week working on this. I don't really expect this to be turned in for at least a week. I want you to treat this like a project like we do in class. Work on it in small sessions. You know what I mean? Brainstorm today. Get your sketchbook out or get a list and make a list of 10 cool things that you want to like have your theme of your town be. Or get the kind of basics drawn. Get a piece of paper, draw your horizon line and a couple shapes in perspective today, and then call it a day. Don't think that you have to work on this for the next 8 hours of your day. I know you guys are busy. I know you're stressed out. I don't want this to be something that stresses you out. I want you to have fun with this. So if that requires you working on it just a couple minutes every day, that's fine. I still want your best work. And I'll give you guys at least a week to work on this. I won't assign anything else. But yeah, be creative, be awesome. I cannot wait to see these. As far as mediums go, like what can you use to make this project awesome? You can do this entire thing in pencil. Or if you want to color, I know a lot of you guys love and enjoy coloring, you can do this in color. I'm not particularly gonna be picky about the mediums that you use as long as it's your good quality work and I can see that you're doing good technical skill building with 1 point perspective. Other than that, guys, I hope you have tons of fun with this and I can't wait to see what you create. Good luck!